Those aren't pillows. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Mac and cheese. Next. When your weekend's all spent up and you got Monday coming down the pike, sometimes all you need is a little comfort to get you through the Monday. Mac and Cheese Movies, where we believe in comfort food and comfort movies. Hello. Welcome to Mac and Cheese Movies. I'm Scotty Coppage. His dogs are barking today. Joel Estes.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
And he'd switch pillows, but he's allergic to sponge. James Rumfeld.
I probably am allergic to sponge. Oh, it makes me itch.
And he's bet $6 in his right nut. We're not landing in Chicago. Ben Rimmert.
Yeah. Sounds like that. Sounds like a bet I take.
You have both your nuts.
Yeah. 1.5. No.
Not the right one.
He's Lance Armstrong in it over here.
Today, we're going to be talking about planes, trains, and automobiles in honor of this John Hughes classic. Joel, what did you bring us?
Well, we're going to have a discussion now because this is a conundrum that I've faced every holiday season because I'm always commissioned with making something or bringing something to the table. And every time I always stumble upon the fruitcake. And I'm 42 years old. I've never had a fruitcake. The description of them sounds horrific. I mean, you got like gummy dehydrated fruit bits and nuts and then a slight amount of batter, just enough to bring the shit together. And then you make a brick, pastry or whatever the hell you consider it.
It's good.
And then you throw it out on a holiday table and you're supposed to eat it.
The dog's wanting it right now.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Goose is loving.
It smells funky.
Yeah, Goose is
It
loving
smells bad?
But
No, I don't know. I just made that up.
Scotty, you've never had fruitcake.
I don't think so.
Ben's never had
I don't
fruitcake.
think so. I remember
James is the outlier. You've had fruitcake.
I did
before.
have. I have had fruitcake before. There was an old lady that lived across from us when I was a kid. She was not my grandma, but everyone in town called her Grandma Daisy. And she had that. Her name was Daisy. She had that really cool. She was like the sweetest lady. But you know how I don't know what causes it. But when people get like really old, they have that like. Oh, good morning.
The
like that like
I'm like
warble
that now.
thing.
The
Yeah.
turkey
43.
jowl.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, she was like real, but her voice was real warbly. Anyway, I had fruitcake at her house a couple times. She was the sweetest lady.
How was it?
It's good. I mean, I don't know. It's fine.
It's
Batter, fruit, nuts. Like you like all those
Is
things.
this anybody's favorite?
I've never heard anybody say, "Oh man, I can't wait for the holidays and get my hands on some of that fruitcake." You know, you never hear that.
No
and
one
that's
has
what
ever said
we're
that
going
ever.
to carve this bitch up right now.
Carve it up.
And decide from here. I mean, because Thanksgiving is the start of the holiday season.
This is the definitive take
It's Halloween.
on fruitcake
Supposed to
from
be
Halloween.
Mac and Cheese Movies.
All right.
So we're
let me
just
carve it
flipping
up.
the whole format up today. Just instead of we're just having it now. All right.
That's what we're always like. I don't need a huge
Maybe
piece,
that, like,
Joel.
half.
This is probably a million times better than that prison
Oh,
ramen sandwich.
that's the worst thing I've ever had in my life. Hands down, I've never had anything.
We're like strapped in to the mics and stuff. I can't like go spit this out in the trash
Let
can.
me. Yeah, no, you got to
Rock,
eat it.
paper towels.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
thought you were putting the napkins like in your shirt like this.
I
Like
changed my mind.
I think that's hilarious. Do it.
Let me guess, Scotty. James, can you hand me mine?
What, the fruitcake?
Yeah.
I'll try to get it. I don't like people touching my food.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Otherwise, I would ask you. Thanks, buddy.
All right, buddy.
It
I
smells
guess I'll get the
fine.
extra fruit one.
It's fine.
Smells
It's fine.
good.
It's fine.
All right. Man,
Good.
it smells kind of like coffee.
What is
coffee?
it? Is that fucking
Coffee?
rum?
Rum? Something.
I'm
Yeah,
dropping
right?
it in our
Almost.
on our
Right, yeah,
I'm dropping it
rum,
in our podcast
something.
couch.
I don't.
It's good. It's not that bad. Seriously.
I don't hate it.
I wouldn't like.
Have we unfairly villainized fruitcake
I don't really
over the
have.
years?
Because you can see the stuff sticking out of it, I guess. I don't know. We were talking in the kitchen with my mouth full on the podcast. I don't give a. When I was a kid, that was the joke in every cartoon. It was like, oh, here's a podcast. Here's a fruitcake. And they would just re-gift it over and over because it doesn't. Nothing's going bad in that.
It's always been like a.
To be fair, I bought this from Market Street, and this was on the fresh market section, so this has been made recently.
This is probably like upscale.
I don't really
fruitcake.
love the red.
I don't either. It's like
The
too
red.
much. It's
The
like
other
too much.
the other stuff is good.
Are you gonna
we don't
finish it,
know.
or you want me to
We
put it
don't
in?
know
I
what
mean,
the hell
whatever
that fruit
is
is.
it
Too much.
cherry or I don't know. But
But
if I take a bite right here,
If it was
That's
just
good.
If it
That's
was just
good.
nuts and
that's
batter,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nuts and
I
batter.
would like that better.
It's like a coffee cake.
but then it wouldn't be
Amazing.
a fruit cake. It'd be a
Yeah,
nuts
I don't
and
want.
batter
I don't
cake.
want a fruit.
That's
I
not-
want a batter cake.
This isn't bad.
Look at this. I'm gonna take a bite of the red now.
Gross.
It's okay. It's okay.
like cough
wow,
syrup.
wow. But you know what? I'm gonna be able to eat it.
Just put that on that cutting board, man. The cheese board.
Wow. It's
Don-
like, yeah,
Don-
the red fruit it is like
I
a.
don't care. I literally don't give a shit.
It's a
I missed it. I missed it. I'm sorry.
We'll clean it up. We'll figure it out.
all right, are we ready?
Pretty good.
Already, yeah. I'm just saying, they're still selling it.
I
Someone's
think
buying
we're good.
it. Someone's buying
somebody's
it.
buying fruitcake.
Have you guys ever had?
What I looked for was like the companies that's been doing it forever, and they normally have them on like the end cap at Market Street, but they're always like a $40 fucking fruitcake.
No, we don't
you
need
know?
that. We don't need
We
that.
don't
It
need
reminded me a
but
little bit of
They didn't have it, or else I would have got it.
When we get that Joe Rogan money, we can have a $40 fruitcake.
Divinity. Have you had Divinity before? Mm-hmm. That shit is.
I was this close to getting Divinity, and then I saw the fruitcake, and I was like, ah.
Divinity is what's up. Anyway,
According to the legends of IMDb, a Chicago advertising man must struggle to travel home from New York for Thanksgiving with a lovable oaf of a shower curtain ring salesman as his only companion. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. First time you saw the movie, your relationship to it. Why is it a mac and cheese movie?
I think we had this on a recorded VHS tape whenever I was a kid. We didn't like own it, but I think we had like a little trial period where we had like the movie channel back whenever it first came out in like the late 80s. And we bought a shit ton of VHS tapes and just recorded random movies on there and just, wrote them on. And that's how we watched movies for the most part. This was one of them. And I remember wearing the hell out of it. And I always liked John Candy as a little kid. As I got older, I started appreciating Steve Martin a little bit more. But Candy was always like one of those. For some reason, him and Rick Moranis, I really liked them.
SCTV people.
Yeah. That's not how I knew them because I grew up in bumfuck Oklahoma.
We don't know that,
but it's always one of those movies that's been around, and I'll watch it every time it starts getting cold. Whenever it starts getting chilly and stew weather. Then
yeah.
Thanksgiving?
Planes, Trains, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Summer Rental, Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just Splash. He's like he's just nailing it through the 80s,
Yeah.
and this is like one of his
Uncle
first
Buck.
kind of like lead performances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a masterful performance. And they talk about him. I'm getting ahead of us, but they talk about how he was like prepping for the role and doing the mustache and getting a perm and like all of this stuff for this role.
Mm-hmm.
you guys named every John Candy movie except his best one,
Cool
which
Runnings.
was
Great Outdoors?
Great Outdoors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I like
That
Who's
was-
Harry
yeah.
Crumb.
I liked that movie too,
Yeah.
but
It is Uncle Buck, but that was a blind spot. It's so great that we had a blind spot on it. Yeah, Uncle Buck.
yeah,
You heard of a ritual killer?
yeah.
What about you, James?
I think same as Joel. My dad, we had such a big illegal. I probably talked about it before, and my dad's awesome. But we had such a huge illegal movie collection of VHS. Write the names on.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah,
It'd
and
be
you
weird
could
if you
get.
didn't.
You could
It'd be
get,
weird if you didn't.
yeah, you could get 3 on there or whatever, right?
Yeah,
My
yeah.
dad had a Rolodex, and people would come to our house in the neighborhood. Hey, we were going to watch a movie tonight, and my dad had a log where they signed the shit out. I swear to God.
What was the name of the video store?
Aardvark
Aardvark
Video.
My man,
Yeah. Fuck
My dad
Aardvark.
had a huge VHS collection. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was on there. As a kid, I think because I love John Candy from Great Outdoors, I just thought it was funny, and there's a bunch of little weird things that happen in this movie that we can talk about. But I liked it for that. And as I've gotten older, the scene I think is out of place is the car rental scene, which we can talk about. But when I was a kid, knowing John Hughes and like, man, that dude knew what like white people in the 80s wanted to watch on TV, just like over and over and over again, dude, just making them.
He got it. He
Right?
got
I
it.
guess so. I guess so.
Nailing it. Not a single person of color in any John Hughes movie. Anyway, I loved him as a kid. And that scene when I was a kid at the car rental scene where they say fuck like 19 times in a minute, I'm sure at 12 years old, I was just like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
You want me to go or you want me to go, Ben?
You can go.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
I'm a John Hughes guy in the 80s. Ferris Bueller, Pretty in Pink,
Yep.
Breakfast Club.
Yep. Yep.
I knew this movie. I may have caught some of it, but I was like maybe 10, 13. I didn't really understand this movie and what it was doing. It was never like in my rotation of things I was watching like all the time or anything. It's the first adult movie that John Hughes did, like after all those teen movies. And this movie isn't for 13-year-old Scotty. This is for 43-year-old Scotty, who's been in these situations and can see what's happening, and like it's a stone cold classic.
My first experience with this was last Thursday when we had to watch the movie for the podcast. I don't know. I'll be the a-hole. I don't know. IMDb said it was good. Rotten Tomatoes said it was good, and it is good. I have to say, about middle of the movie, John Candy kills that character so freaking good. It actually saved it for me for the most part. I'll say like Steve Martin's great, right? But he's Steve Martin when we talked about like Four Christmases, where like you know what you're gonna get. He's like the uptight kind of. He plays the same character. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm expecting that. God, did they have the worst luck though, man? They had the worst luck, literally.
Yeah.
So it was fine. It was fine for me.
Yeah.
I love all the Steve Martin.
But we're talking about John Hughes, and Ferris Bueller, Pretty in Pink, 110% on every single one of those movies. Don't know what happened with this. Something missed me. I think maybe there's because of the time it was made, and I've waited so long to watch it.
Sure.
That probably has a lot to do with it. It's not a bad movie. I mean, I'm just not like jumping up and down, like comforting.
It didn't have the endearing length of the ending that you saw in like Breakfast Club or any of the others, where you saw this coming, because they were still trying to bust apart and during their journey. And I kind of understand where Ben's coming from, but it didn't it had a good ending to it, but then it kind of felt like a forced ending.
Oh, Ben's got a lot to say about that fucking
Sir
ending.
Knight, the whole fucking last minute, that last scene where it awkwardly goes up and it just stays on the mom at the stairs for like 3.5 minutes. And then he's like, oh, this is them and this is our
26 seconds.
And then it keeps coming back to her. And then it's like, oh, anyway.
She's so hot. Good God, she's so pretty. My thing, I think what you're seeing with this is you're seeing John Hughes different. Like he's made all these. John Hughes feels better about what he's doing when he's younger, and I think when he makes Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, he's kind of a crotchety fucker, and he's already done it over and over again. I think that's why you have the car rental scene. I think John Hughes is like, I want to make an adult movie,
right? With this now. Yeah.
And how does he? What's so funny about that is he doesn't really make an adult movie. I mean, there's an adult movie, but you know what I'm saying. He doesn't really make an R-rated movie. He makes a John Hughes movie, and then one scene just has fuck 19 times.
That's the only reason it became an R-rated movie.
It's like a 13-year-old, okay, John, if you were gonna cuss, what would you do? And he's just like, fuck 13 times.
He's such a dick. Neil is such a dick to everybody. And that's the contrast with him and Dell. Dell knows how to work people.
Right.
He knows how to
Which
talk to people.
Which is why he's getting further. I got a hotel room. I got a car. I got.
Oh,
you
got to call them before you go over this. Yeah, I mean,
but
is that?
The other part for it, for me, again, no complaints about the acting or any of that. There's an element of like, we talked about this before for me, like Meet the Parents or something like that. It's just stressful, man. I don't want to be stressed to fuck. Oh, they missed their plane. Oh, it's a blizzard. Oh, they can't find a car. Oh, there's not a place to sleep. It's just like, that is the movie, right?
Fucking train broke
cinema
down.
is conflict, right?
Yeah, but
traveling for me as I've gotten older just gets more and more stressful. I think that's true for all of us. So when I watched that movie when I was a kid, John Candy was just funny to me, and that's why I like it. Now that I'm older, I'm watching it way more from Neil's perspective, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. That guy walked in his socks around on the
unaware.
Homicide.
Dude.
Because you're probably John Candy in that case. Washing your socks in the sink, just like, hey, brother,
drying your face with his underwear. I'd be like, you
breaking out in the fucking Flintstones.
Jesus.
Before filming today, I told Joel, I said, I really identify, like, I'm the Neil character. And Joel, without missing a beat, is like, yep. And like, I
don't like people touching my food. I don't like people touching my food.
You don't have to like confirm it so boldly. I know what I am. And when James said that he was like Neil, he did not say that to James, but he like went ahead and like stuck the knife in me.
Yeah, I get stressed when I'm traveling. And he said but his face was like, no shit, Scotty. Like,
well, you wear it on your face a lot more than James does. James, you can see the stress on your face.
The stress on my face is remarkable.
James tolerates a lot more too. Like when someone walks up to his face at the bar, Scotty gets the fuck up and moves.
Yeah,
right in front of him. And James would be like, he'd wait, that interaction would be weird, and then later on, he would be like, golly, dude, that dude was close to me the whole time. Blah, blah, blah. Scotty's like, oh, no, dog. Straight up. Kind of like, I say all that. We were talking about the other day. Well, I draw on the airplane or whatever. And I'm like, you know how you get them to stop talking to you? Tell them to fucking stop talking to
Right.
you.
We were talking about how...
I have an
do
instance
headphones.
that I've had with Scotty where that was the complete fucking opposite. Me and Scotty and went to see The Cure last year, and we had this group of dudes, like these Tejano bros that were like right next to us. And they were loud and obnoxious and everything like that. And they were Scotty's best fucking friend
they
by
love
the end
me.
of the night.
Yeah,
Love
man.
me.
Were you
Yeah.
intoxicated, though?
I mean, I had been drinking, sure, because
Yeah.
I'm an adult and trying to have a good time.
I'm not shaming you. I'm just saying, like, that I'm a different person after I've had some drinks
No,
than
but,
I
like,
am.
this is what these guys were doing. I mean, they were loud and they were obnoxious, but like they like they were telling me, they were like, this song, oh, I love this song right here. This song was so great. It was great. And it's like we see great bands. We saw Iron Maiden, we saw Metallica, we saw whoever. And then when they played From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, I like the Deep Green Sea. I go over to them. Like, where are my guys at? Where are my guys at? Yeah, this is my favorite song. And they played it. And we did this like group hug and we're swaying like we're about to play a soccer match and like
I'm weird at concerts, too, yeah.
So
Sometimes
so
I
he,
have-
he
some-
totally dealt it up in that situation.
sometimes I have
yeah.
that. I have a little Dell in me sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's got to
I
be
don't know.
a,
I don't know if that sounds great, but
it's got to be a certain... It's got to be a certain setting, though, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's got to be a certain setting for me.
It can't be everything. Yeah, it can't be. I can't do it all the time.
Right.
I have that thing. What Ben's talking about, like, my girl gets on to me about that all the time, where I'm like, I don't mean to be engaging. It's kind of a defense mechanism because I'm trying to be polite. And then it turns into a 30-minute conversation that I didn't want to have.
Oh, man.
And then I'm walking back to the car mad. And I'm like, fuck, why does that always happen to me? And she's like, because you don't say, like, I got to go. Sorry.
You have to pivot
Right.
out
Because
I
that's
gotta-
rude to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You got to Barry Sanders spin that shit out of that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find the way
Yeah,
out.
just
Find the
boom,
way out.
break that
Yeah.
tackle.
I've seen Ben do it before. He's like, "Oh, I'm all set." Just mid-sentence, I'm like, he's done it at work meetings
Take the
where he's
phone
just
call.
like, "Are we talking about shoes right now? I'm gotta go."
Mac
Just log out.
and Cheese Maniac, Katie Britt, gave me a lot of training and tutelage.
Mac and cheese maniac. I fucking love that.
tutelage over like because she was a bartender, she knows how to spin out of conversations when guys are like trying to talk to her and like join around when she's got to be serving drinks, got to be doing other things. Like she just like knows how to just spin out, and she was like teaching me how to spin out in conversations. That should be her job.
Spinning out of
No,
conversations.
like the hitch for getting out of like conversations.
Come spin out with me.
In this article, it said John Hughes got people. Therein lies the beauty of his work. He never talked down to people or saw anyone as less than, and this was reflected in his characters. While he obviously wrote the occasional villain or two, he still managed to sneak in those human moments to elicit a touch of sympathy. And I think that's what this movie is like all about. Is like, yes, like in the first time you watch it, you know, Dell is kind of grating and like would drive you crazy. If I was in that situation, it'd drive me crazy. The more I see this movie, the more you love Dell, and you love Dell from the jump.
Yeah.
You know,
Neil is more of a. I mean,
Neil's a
villain
prick. Neil's a
than-
prick.
than not a villain, but it's kind of like
Well, the real villain's Kevin Bacon. I think we can all agree.
like Kevin Bacon when he looks over and he like runs and gets that cab.
Trips over his shit or whatever. Well, that was Dell's shit.
Yeah,
That was the first. That was the first cameo I remember. Like now, shit like that will happen, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, The Rock's in this" or
Well,
whatever.
what had happened is they had shot She's Having a Baby, and they delayed the release of it. So that has Kevin Bacon in it, and like Kevin Bacon just wanted to like work with John Hughes again. So he's like, dude, I'll be an extra in your next movie, just like whatever. And that's what he had him do because he just wanted to go hang out with John Hughes for like a few days. Like,
But he was so famous at that
Yeah.
time. I remember.
yeah, he's an A-lister. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, is that Kevin Bacon?
Yeah,
and
and
then
that's-
he's not in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they had Michael McKean in it too, and he was in it he was the state trooper who stopped him at the end of the movie.
Oh shit!
And yeah, but he had been, you know, he wasn't A-list, but he was a big name.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
got fourth billing on that movie, and he was in it for like a minute,
yeah.
you know, and so they had big names in it.
Yeah, I think this movie doesn't work, is not as good without the scene in the hotel room when John Candy is kind of falling apart because you start to care about him in a different way. Before that, he's just a clown, and then you start to care about him, and there's like, oh, there's a person under there. He's
He
actually
endears
a really
himself,
sweet guy,
you
right?
know, yeah.
So I think that's the thing that makes this movie stick around for people. Also, Name another Thanksgiving movie.
Dutch. Sin of a Woman.
Yeah.
Son-in-law.
Oh my God, Scotty, you got something, man. I don't know what you got.
Charlie Brown
but you got
Thanksgiving?
something. Okay, well, anyone besides Scotty
Do
that
we,
can
do we
probably
think
only
of
name.
Son-in-law as a Thanksgiving movie? All I think is
Absolutely.
It
Polly.
does take place
All
at
I think is
Thanksgiving.
Polly fucking
Son-in-law.
Shore.
It
That's
does
all I
take
think
place
of.
at Thanksgiving.
It's all
Why
about
the fuck do you
Thanksgiving,
know
yeah.
that?
I guess I watched
Because
it
I've been
during
doing
Polly
this
Shore
podcast for
Mania.
5 years and I'm always thinking about Thanksgiving movies.
And I was like, I didn't walk away with any Wheeze the Juice moments.
There's
so-
a movie called Home for the Holidays directed by my crush, Jodie Foster. Also a Thanksgiving film.
Damn.
I
One's
love
Home for
Jodie
the Holidays. Is that
Foster.
the one with Jonathan Taylor Thomas? That's on Hallmark.
No. Dick.
God damn. Yes.
Bet.
I think
I'm gonna look that up.
Ho-
I guarantee you that's
No,
a Home for the
well,
Holidays is a.
Holly Hunter's in it. Robert Downey Jr.'s in it. I don't know who else is in it.
Dude, I love Jodie Foster. Did you see that new season of True Detective?
We know we've talked
Have
about it.
we?
We like
Alright.
we are Jodie Foster fans.
I
over here
I
on-
love her.
all on this side of the table.
Con-
And she's not on the team.
Contact.
Silence of the
I
Lambs.
wish she was on.
That
but-
about it.
I wish she was on the team that I wish she was on. She's gorgeous. I've always loved her.
Great, love her.
Got that all worked out for y'all.
It worked out great. Just
I try to just
like everything else in life.
Wasn't she almost responsible for Ronald Reagan getting killed?
The guy was trying to impress her.
Yeah,
he was.
Shooting
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan.
And now that guy's
Yeah.
just out living his life, and he has a Twitter, and he makes music, and he posts songs all the time.
like in Seven, Brad Pitt's like, no, he's crazy. Our guy is crazy. It's gonna be like, my dog made me do it. Jodie Foster made me do it. Like that.
Can you pull that up, Jamie?
Jodie.
So this movie is based on an incident that really happened to John Hughes. He was an advertising copywriter, set out from New York to Chicago on Thanksgiving, and after a 5-day delay, ended up in Phoenix, Arizona via Wichita, Kansas. There was an old guy there, a salesman who had been on the road for years. He knew everything about this kind of situation, and he hung out with him, and he was like so impressed with this guy's understanding of the situation. So he took that experience and like turned it into this script, into this film.
I don't know if Ben felt the same way, but because you brought up the advertising thing, the beginning of this movie, if anyone's ever wondered like what making a thing for the government is like, that's what it is. As they're walking out, and he's just like fucking 2 hours so that he can say, "We'll look at these again on Monday." And now I'm gonna miss my plane. That's exactly what working for the
I'm
government
in that
is like.
right now.
Yeah.
Turned in the video yesterday.
Submit
Like,
your
"Whoa,
thing, and they're just like,
prepare for feedback.
nobody cares about that, but
Anyway, also there's a lot of movies that have that. Of course, I can't think of any off the top of my head. It seems like the person's work or job is like advertising or marketing, in a lot of, I don't know, it's like a default or something.
I think that's a default in like a lot of
Yeah.
80s, 90s.
like, oh, he's
of-
in advertising.
Yeah.
He's
I wonder
marketing.
why.
Or
What
like
does that
Chevy
mean?
Chase, or
Yeah.
he was like the food
Yeah, he's
additive
the food-
guy.
yeah,
you
That's
know?
one.
Yeah.
There's others. though.
or like,
Yeah.
or like every woman who lives in New York in a movie
Reporter.
works as a reporter or works in media, like or advertising. Yeah,
Well, that's when they coined the term yuppie. You know, the young urban professional.
Oh,
You know, where
okay.
they just like started creating
Great cards.
these white collar jobs. You know, and where people drive their Datsuns and Buicks to work every day. You know, and
let's carve out some more white collar jobs. Let's get some of those.
Some
Get
more
some of those on
white-collar
board.
jobs. Yoga instructor.
So this is
yeah.
like a Wednesday night at dinner, just casual. That like him and like some people are like, sitting around talking about this idea. The following Tuesday, it's greenlit for picture at Paramount, and like John Hughes could write a script in like a day or two, and he had like all this stuff in his head, and like his process was like he would like after dinner would start writing and write until like 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of one of those guys who just kind of go at it. And he wrote first drafts super quickly. He'd get in the zone and not stop. He wasn't like, okay, I've done my 2 hours, 4 hours, I'm done. He's like, he's just in it. He was just going for it. And like Howard Dutch, douche or Dutch.
You would hope it's
Douche?
Dutch.
He's director Douche.
Douche.
Howard Douche.
It's Dumas.
It's Dumas. Dumbass.
Dumbass. Alexandria.
So
dumbass.
Howard Douche, director of Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, The Great Outdoors, he said that he'd write kind of like John Hughes would write, and he'd usually fall asleep, and like he'd fall asleep. They're like kind of doing stuff together, and then he's doing rewrites, and he wakes up, and John Hughes is like, "How'd it go?" And John Hughes is like, oh, I did this instead. John Hughes was up writing this instead. And it's like, he hands him 50 pages while Howard Deutsch was asleep. And he's like, I don't think this is like for our movie. This is going to be something else. And it's like the first 50 pages of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Nice.
You know, I mean,
Damn.
he's just like
Nice.
that kind of guy who's doing that kind of work. He's like Jack White, who's just like prolific.
We watched the Gene Wilder documentary not that long ago, and he had similar. He would get a producer to sign on to a thing, and then like he would just like lock himself up for like a weekend, and just be like, "Here's the script of Young Frankenstein,"
Yeah.
or like whatever. And it's that's just, that's just wild to me. I mean, that's talent, is what it is.
That's some Jordan shit right there.
Yeah.
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 Did John Hughes ever, like, was there anybody ever more in the zone that you can think of? Because how many movies did he make?
I mean, he wrote National Lampoon Vacation. He directed Breakfast Club, 16 Candles. He has Pretty in Pink.
Home Alone.
Ferris Bueller. Home
He has
Alone.
Ferris Bueller. He has Weird Science.
They're all in
Outdoors.
Chicago.
I don't think he directed that.
He didn't direct it, but he wrote it and
and like
produced
he wrote some
42.
he wrote some kind of
So they're
wonderful.
saying 42 movies.
I mean,
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that he didn't even have credit on. There's a bunch of stuff that he like kind of ghost wrote or like kind of he got paid on the back end or whatever. There's a ton of stuff. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff like that. And he died young. I mean, he died like 2009 or something. I mean, and he wasn't really in the game for 10 years at that point. He had really kind of stopped. After John Candy died, he really slowed down and kind of stopped.
Canadian Bacon was his like last movie, wasn't it? Was
John
that a
Candy?
Hughes?
John
Candy. but
John Candy for sure.
wasn't that a John Hughes thing?
I don't know.
Canadian
I don't
Bacon?
know.
Anyway,
It's Canadian Bacon or Wagons East. I can't.
Wagons
remember
East is the one I'm
I think-
thinking
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is when you think of like great directors, you have like Tarantino and Spielberg and all that. But
Yeah.
like, has anybody in our lifetime made more fucking movies that were bangers than John Hughes? But they're just like comfort food, so you don't think about them as being these big pieces.
Right.
I don't think he has a big miss, really. I mean,
Plane, trains, automobiles.
You're the only one. But yeah.
and you might say commercially that like she's having a baby wasn't at the same level as these other movies. But then he does Uncle Buck, and then he does Home Alone, and then he's
Home Alone was massive.
Yeah. Yep.
people have no idea
As a
how
kid,
massive Home Alone
yeah,
was.
Everyone was at the,
Yeah.
like multiple times to see it.
Still quoted.
It was like Titanic for kids.
It was. It was great.
That's it. That's the quote.
That's a Kevin.
Planes would be the first of 4 collaborations between Hughes and Candy. Uncle Buck. He's in Home Alone. Only the Lonely. Have you seen Only the Lonely? Do you know what that is?
No.
Oh, that movie's great. It's John Candy. He's a cop who lives with his mother, and he meets like Ali Sheedy, and he wants to go on a date with her. And
Oh,
his
I
mom,
love Ali
his
Sheedy.
mom is like,
What?
it's like John Candy is always, of like envisioning like, oh, I can't go on the date because I'm afraid my mother's gonna get murdered while I'm gone, or something like.
That
so
sounds
he's-
like Throw Mama from the
it's-
Train.
it's-
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah.
it's an incredible movie. I mean, that's really great too.
That's an odd dynamic
It's-
between John Candy and Ali Sheedy.
It's
Was it
great-
kind of
it's
like an
great.
infatuation
He-
thing, or was it like
he
an
takes-
actual
well,
romantic?
It's romantic, and because she like works in a funeral parlor and she's kind of antisocial, and John Hughes wanted to bring Ali Sheedy like into an adult role, like after Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
this has got a bunch of Chris Columbus on
What
it.
year did this
This
come
is
out?
91,
Oh, it's got the other.
maybe 92.
It's 91.
Jim Belushi's in it. He's
But
a cop. He's a cop. He goes on the first date with Ali Sheedy. He takes it to like Chicago Cubs like park,
Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field, and like they're on the diamond having a picnic, and it's like how did you make this happen? It's like sometimes it's good to be a cop, and he's just like a freaking nice guy, and it's great. That movie's great. Only the Lonely is great.
I'll have to give that one a shot.
It's a 6'4". I loved Ali Sheedy. Oh my god, Short Circuit.
Oh, yeah, Short Circuit.
But it says director and writer was Chris Columbus, but I don't know if Hughes is somewhere.
Hughes is definitely involved in this movie.
Right.
He's
Like,
probably like a producer
I'm sure.
or
Yeah.
something
I'd have
like
to look
that.
it up.
Yeah.
I have never seen that. I'm watching.
It's
it.
incredible.
I
It's
love
incredible.
John Candy. I'd watch him eat soup.
Yeah, all about it.
I was reading trivia. Well, we'll get to it. Like facts about John Candy. Go ahead.
Okay. And like John Hughes, this is how Steve Martin gets in the movie. Like John Hughes was like, I thought Steve Martin was the funniest man alive. He's the first like real rock and roll comedian who appeared in arenas, not like clubs. And so he was in awe when he came to his home for a meeting for like the movie. and but he found him like disarming and like really cooperative. Then he meets John Candy. He's the same sort of man. So like they're like fast friends. You know, it's just like it just worked like really, really easily. And Steve Martin was talking about part of the difference of the character that Steve Martin was doing is that serious base of it sets up the comedy. Like the kind of stuff up top, up front, that seriousness of it is what we're kind of pulling that back. And then like when it's fun, it's just we have all that momentum because we have all of this intenseness and pressure and everything. So this is the first role that John Candy was like doing the perm for and doing the mustache for, and like this is like him like really going for it, and like yes. Anything else about John Candy and Steve Martin before I continue to talk about the shoot?
No, we're good.
Keep going.
You're on a roll, dog.
This
Let's
monologue,
go.
though.
This shoot, like most movies, like I don't know, I used to watch like a lot of DVD commentaries, and like Hustle and Flow was like a 25-day shoot. Okay, a lot of movies are kind of like that. They're like 22 days, especially like kind of independent movies. I mean, this is a Hollywood movie, Hollywood studio and everything. This is an 85-day shoot.
Shit.
This is normally a 2-character comedy is 36 days, 40 days. So 85 days is unheard of. That's like Mission Impossible or one of those movies. It's not
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it's not like something that's just 2 characters like somewhere
It's like
doing
Spartacus.
something. But like John Hughes also had the same crew from film to film. So like everybody was just in the groove and knew exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Like Spielberg's like that too. Like Spielberg will go in.
Seems like they could have cut some of that time off then if they all knew
Oh
each
yeah,
other.
yeah. Spielberg will go in. He edits stuff after he shoots it because he has his editors. They're so locked into what they know how to do.
Like the dailies and
that,
shit? Or
like the dailies, like they're editing it like after they have the take they're doing.
Yeah.
And like they know exactly what they're doing. So like it's like when you have a crew like that, you're able to really, even though this took 85 days because of all the stuff they're doing and they're shooting so much, like they're able to kind of make a lot of stuff work because there's that cohesiveness. And I think that's incredible too.
They're like the 90s Bulls.
They're the 90s Bulls.
That's
John Hughes,
insane.
the 90s Bulls.
With
or
Rodman.
the 80s Bears.
I read the Bears. I read that
some
there's
of
like a
these
3-hour cut of this movie
Yeah.
somewhere.
It's
Because there's so much footage
there's
of it.
there's it's a 3-hour 25-minute cut, and so how they were shooting it, number one, they shoot it script, then they do a take, Steve Martin gets to improvise, then they do a take, John Candy gets to improvise, and then also John Hughes is writing new stuff like all the time, just like comes out with 9 pages, like it's like let's try this out.
I would love to see what the cut where at the very end, whenever John Candy's in the train station, he comes out. You know, Marie's been dead for 8 years. There was a much longer speech that came along with that. I've seen the cut of the script of what he was supposed to say.
Oh, yeah. Steve Martin
And
was pissed off about that.
Yeah. But and whenever I read the script, I was like, it kind of kills the vibe a little bit,
Yeah.
you know. But I would like to have seen the way Candy delivered it.
Yeah, I would have
because that was his delivery was what made most of the movie, you know, to where the way he would translate things from script to
It made it likable
yeah.
for sure. I'd
So
watch a
I
3-hour,
would like
25-minute
to see
version of this
that
movie.
part.
Yeah.
Because I was so stoked about it, and then whenever I read it, I was like, it kind of drags me down a little bit,
Yeah.
you know. But he
I was
had
the
this
opposite,
way.
man. Dude, like they got their hotel the first time, like beginning of the movie or whatever, and he pulls out a picture of his wife, and I was like, she's dead.
Yeah, he told me that.
I mean, immediately, fucking immediately. So when we got, and I asked Sarah legitimately, like honestly, I was like, are we? Or it might have been you. I was like, are we supposed to know?
Yeah.
Like the whole movie that
No.
like that was supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
We weren't
And
as
then they get to the end,
sophisticated
it's like,
film
I'm not trying to
connoisseurs
listen
in
to
the
him go on a
80s.
40-minute monologue about his dead wife. It's like, no. He just told the truth. Go have Thanksgiving at fucking what's his nuts house,
Yeah.
and then have the awkward 3-minute fucking.
I saw a
stairs
TikTok.
cancer.
I thought of you the other day because my joke with Ben
Wrap
is
this shit up. Come
my
on,
joke
let's
with
go.
Ben is
Movies
always like
I got Bob's Burgers to watch.
Ben's just gonna skip to the end. He's gonna tell me the end. I saw a TikTok the other day of a guy. It's like
Guy in
when
the middle's alive.
when you're watching. Ben and I both have ADHD, but when you're watching movies with your ADHD friend, and the guy sits down and he's like, "Dude, you're gonna love this movie," and at like 5 seconds in, he's like, "This guy fucking killed it, right?" He's like, "Bro, shut up! Like, why?" Yeah, that sucks, man.
So
No one else knew, Ben.
Kevin Bacon said that John Hughes was not precious about his script. He was precious about the characters. And like if we're losing stuff that I wrote for this thing that's better, that makes the movie better, that makes the characters better, we're doing that. And that's like a humility and like a lack of ego that a lot of directors don't have, or and a lot of writers don't have, which like I think you're doing what's best for the movie, not what's best for you or your ego.
For the whatever you want to call it, the odd man out on this one, you know, that's I already said that's what saved the movie for me. The acting was so good and funny. I could overlook a lot of the like, all right, you know, like I don't know.
Well,
You know what
that and the fact that you had
I know
two of the
what-
greatest improv actors,
Sure.
comedians,
Yeah.
to exist.
For sure.
I mean, Steve Martin. Weird fact: Steve Martin was never on the cast of Saturday Night Live. He
But
just
just
hosted it
hosted
so
it,
many
like,
fucking
yeah,
times
yeah.
that you thought he was
Yeah.
a member of Saturday Night Live. But and Candy was obviously on SCTV or whatever. But both of them were really good improv
also-
actors.
Steve Martin was like the greatest comedian in the world, and then walked
Yeah,
away from it.
and then
He was
walked
so
away,
great at
yeah.
it, he just like walked away. He's like, I'm done.
I'm gonna go do movies.
I'm gonna go play the banjo.
What's he doing? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So John Hughes was born in 1950 because I'm thinking about something.
It's my dad's age. It's Walter's age.
Yeah, he was born in 1950. So when this movie came out, he would have been what age?
Like 37.
Okay, so
yeah.
right around. My suspicion is correct. Right around the 40-year-old dude midlife crisis shit. So some of the stuff I feel like with this movie, John Hughes as a person is changing so much that that's why it feels a little out of. I think that's what ended up like making it special over the years was that John Hughes was so different when he made this movie. And I there was something else I read about that, and I can't remember what the hell it was now, but where people I remember reading a thing saying that like he was grouchy on the set a lot, which was really out of character for him. Anyway,
Who's John Hughes?
yeah, John Hughes was. That I read a thing where they were like trying to find. He had the crew driving all over the fucking place to find snow because we can't just digitally fake the snow.
No, it's the 80s.
And
Yeah.
they ended up having to. They still ended up faking the snow on the sides
Because
of
they
the
had
highways.
when they had to do a reshoot of some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, on the there's extra footage in the trailer of Steve Martin like eating pizza. There's another scene where some woman gets her hair on like a brownie that Dell still ends up eating. But Martin was so Martin the thing I read was hilarious about it. But Steve Martin was so mad about them cutting Candy's thing to keep it under 2 hours. Whoever the production company was, he didn't end up working with them again for a really long time.
That was a scene,
and it was why.
And my son actually brought that up earlier today because he was like, "Hey, did you figure out what food you're going to use?" And yada yada yada. And he was like, "Well, why didn't you use the seafood salad scene?" Or why didn't you use the kitty plate scene?
Oh,
and
'cause it
I was
was-
like, yeah, because there was
Or
a
the hot
cut.
dog and a beer.
Right. There was a scene while they were on the plane where they were being served food, the meal on the flight. And then Dale goes on a spiel of, if I'm flying United, I'm ordering this. If I'm on American, I'm ordering this, and whatever.
Oh.
And
But it
then
was
that's
cut.
when the hair comes over, lands on the brownie, and that's in a certain cut of the movie that me and my son have watched together.
Oh,
But
that exists.
That exists.
Huh.
And then the one I pulled up on, I think I watched it on Paramount Plus the other night. It didn't have that in
I've
there.
never seen that cut of it.
Because
Even
I
you
was
just describing that
Yeah.
a little bit right there. That really gives you a lot more depth into Dell. Because we were talking about, he knows his way around. He knows everyone, locations, what to do, what not to do. So if he's like,
Knew
I'm
the
on this
owner-
one, I'm going to eat that. If I'm on
He
that,
knew the
I
owner
know
of the
everything.
Braidwood Inn, in
Yeah.
the
Wichita,
experience, the
Kansas.
craft
He was
veteran.
excited to see him.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, he was.
I think with Candy, that's the thing that makes him work over and over and over again is that he's so good and he's so funny, but he's also sad. Like he's sad as a person. I was reading some things about like John Candy was insistent that they bring him. They set up like a gym for him basically, and he didn't use it
In his hotel room? Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He was like. He was self-conscious about his weight because it's the 80s and nobody's big like that except John Candy, who's like he's an A-list fucking movie star. I've watched interviews with him where he like talks about that. But Steve Martin had a thing that he said where he liked John Candy so much because they're behind this brilliant comedian. There's this like broken heart in there. I think that's what makes him so endearing. That's why you like him so
And
much.
he's like Dell, like in real life. Like he's like Steve Martin on set is very quiet, and he's like kind of like doesn't really want to be bothered. He's focused on performance.
John Candy or Steve Martin?
Steve Martin. And John Candy knows everyone's name on the crew. And he's like one of those guys. And when this movie, like with the year of the Oscars for this movie, I don't think this movie was up for any Oscars or anything. But like John Candy had like, all the crew was like in a hotel, and like he was in a hotel, and he like invited the whole crew. It wasn't John Hughes. It wasn't Steve Martin. It was like the whole crew up to his suite. And he bought like $1,000 worth of food. Like, let's watch the Oscars. And like, he's just like,
Oh,
he's
that's
just
cool.
like, he's like, and he's just like that. He was like that kind of guy, you know? He was like Dell, you know?
We talked about it a little bit in the kitchen, but Ryan Reynolds is obsessed with this movie. He's had a lot of Easter eggs hidden in like the Deadpool movies for sure. But he loves. I've watched interviews where he talks just about John Candy and how much John Candy meant to him as a kid from Canada. Like on his birthday and stuff, he's made like Twitter posts about like, you know, happy birthday to John Candy, blah 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 blah. He's such an inspiration. John Candy was a huge deal. Man.
I read something about that the other night where every time Ryan Reynolds makes a movie, he has to pay a fee to Paramount.
Yeah, for $5,000 to use the Canadian mounted.
the Canadian mounted book, and he has it hidden in some way,
fucking
shape, or
awesome,
form
dude. I love
in
that.
every movie he makes.
I love it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
They couldn't stop laughing when they were shooting that. They said it was so hard to get that scene done because they were just like rolling, and they had the camera rigged up over their heads, and they were laughing. The cameras would start, and like they were playing that music like live. They didn't put that in later, so that music is playing, and they're just rip roaring like the whole, they can barely get it done. They're just trying to be so serious and trying to make it, and like, but John Hughes is also like in their ear, like telling them like, now kiss his ear, nibble it, just lower, and just like how insane it was for them to get that at all.
That's absolutely.
I didn't know
crazy.
that. That's wild that they played the music
Yeah,
live.
that'd be the thing. I think for me, I'd be like, dude, you got to put this in post, man. I can't. What
are we
It's
doing,
like
dude?
you're setting the mood more than anything.
That's
you know?
crazy.
But have y'all ever had a situation like that where you've been like had to bunk up with somebody and then kind of like
That's like in high school trips.
yeah,
You know, like if you're on like academic
butt
team
to
or
butt,
something.
man, you're good
yeah,
to
you're,
go.
you're, it's,
You're good
yeah,
to go.
it's like I always felt like I was drawing the short end of the stick on who my bunkmate was.
Every time me and
And
Ben go to
I was the
concerts,
guy then because I could sleep anywhere.
we
I don't
get
give
two
a
beds,
shit.
but we just sleep in the same one every time.
You'd sleep on the floor before you sleep. On the fucking
But we sleep head to foot. Like,
That's a
good night. I like set up. I'm
yeah.
like, good
I mean,
night, buddy.
I mean,
Good night.
one of us
like,
has to keep
like,
the underwear on, man.
and,
Just one of us.
Just being on a work trip with somebody who I'm not best friends with, who I barely know, and we have two beds, that stresses me out. So like this dude you don't know, and you're sharing a hotel, and sharing a bed. The bed is wet because he like spilled all these beers exploded in the bed.
because he had the little
that dude was drinking
shaky
and smoking
vibrating
that whole
magic.
movie, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
It was
the
the
whole
80s.
movie, he's
That
just
was-
like,
that
yeah,
was-
man, whatever. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
He's oblivious to how his actions are affecting anyone. And even in that situation in the hotel room, I was purposely looking because as I've gotten older, like I said, for travel for sure, I'm definitely more Neil. If I absolutely was in that situation, couldn't get out of it, there were 3 chairs over at the side, like put a chair there and put the other one for your feet. That's where I'm sleeping. I'm not getting in the bed with this dude in beer that's been spilled.
The
There's
one
no
thing
fucking
that
way.
kept stressing me out was whenever he goes into whenever I go to a hotel room, I know where everything's at. If it comes out of my bag, it's intentional, and then it goes right back in there.
That's great.
It seems like whenever he goes,
I'm
Shit.
great. I'm like a mess. I don't know where stuff is. Like 6 hours later.
Yeah,
and
but
it's-
here's the thing: John Candy gets in there and fucking explodes, and all his shit's everywhere.
It is everywhere.
and yet
There's nuts
as
on the
long as
pillows
he's
and
been
shit.
on the road, he still has this gigantic fucking trunk that's heavy as hell to drag around.
I
But
remember.
that was
How has
a
he not-
thing. Those trunks.
Yeah.
Do you
How is
remember
he not-
as a kid the first time you saw a suitcase with wheels?
Yeah.
I remember being a kid and being like,
It was like when we got on the moon.
why haven't we? It was.
We landed
I remember
on the
being
moon.
like, because I was a military kid, so we had traveled so much. I remember being like, why haven't we always fucking put wheels on those? That's wild. They're just carrying
Or
this
like, or like
trunk
you see
around.
that in movies, like they have the trunk like on their like in their lap, like on an airplane.
That's
And it's like,
insane.
I mean, you can't. Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, and now
we can't
you
do that now.
You got the,
Thanks,
you got
Bin
the
Laden.
wheels, all 4 of them at the bottom of the carry-on case, and now you just have to daintily grab the top of the
Yeah,
handle.
it just
and-
spins around. You can weighs
You know,
100
yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
When I go to
You
a
don't have to worry
hotel,
about
this
that.
is very serial killer esque. If I'm going to stay for more than one night, I unpack all of my clothes and hang them in the closet and put them in the drawers.
I'll hang out
Like I move into that shit.
an outfit if I'm wearing it the next
No.
day.
I read online that that's like really serial killery. Sorry.
That's
My
wild,
shit never
dude.
comes out of my bag
That is
unless I'm there
wild.
for a week plus.
It's just-
Pull it out of your bag, wrinkled, and run a fucking iron on it. Like
That's what I'm saying. like-
or you can put it like the shower, run the hot shower and the steam, just hang it up on the door.
That's bananas. I just put it in
It's
the
a move.
dresser.
It's a good move.
It's supposed to. Why is
It's
it?
not good for the water.
Dresser's
It's
in
not
there
good for the
for a
earth,
reason.
but I mean, it's a good move.
Speaking of the trunk, there was a fan theory that I read online where
tell.
Dell killed his wife. And
I like
the
it.
body
Ate her.
was in the trunk,
Oh.
and that's why it's so heavy. Because what the fuck could be in his
would be
trunk?
smelling,
That's
though,
so
right?
heavy. Well,
Maybe-
she's been
maybe-
dead 8 years.
Maybe it's
You
The
know,
bones.
maybe we got some 80s awesome Ziploc.
maybe I don't know, but
you
why
see
is the
Got
trunk
you
so
see
heavy?
I don't
He
know.
carries
I don't
his
like
pillow
that.
in it.
He's
so sweet.
He's got a bowling ball in it.
His pill, he does.
Yeah.
That's what he. What does Dell really have in there? Knowing him from the movie, right? He's got a bowling ball in there for sure. He's got a pack of playing cards. He's got a shit ton of shower curtain rings,
Fucking
which
goldfish.
that's made up. There probably is a goldfish in a bowl,
Like-
saran wrapped over with water. It's swimming in there.
It's Marie's goldfish.
Yeah,
I
do you have a
can't
goldfish
let
in
it
here?
go.
Pictures. He gets a fully framed photo out and puts it on
It's
there.
and he keeps his pillows in
There's
there.
probably an
So that-
Atari
what is that, like
2600
is that
in
an
there.
8x10? What is that?
Yeah,
Ish.
8x10.
That's
Yeah.
big, yeah.
Yeah.
12x15?
Yeah, we'll call it a 5x7.
He was probably doing that. Like, if you ever picked up, you did. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you picked up an Atari. He probably
Yeah.
traveled with one for when he was by himself. Like, I'll take my Xbox to a hotel, but Dell probably pioneered that. That's what's in the trunk.
Oh, that's the secret lesson of this movie.
What's that?
What?
The Atari, him.
That's the lesson?
This, I guess something. I think. Never mind. We can cut that out. Fuck it.
I'm not cutting
No,
that out.
that's
Staying in. Staying in.
Hey, I was gonna say earlier when he gets excited and starts going off about the movie, if you don't overlay Temple Grandin like number shit as he's talking, I'm never coming back.
What I want is
Dell was the greatest
what,
pitfall player ever in history.
What,
yeah.
what I think Ben should do, I like to add more work to Ben's caseload.
No, all
is
fucking three of y'all
he should do a trailer for this movie and recut it to where Dell is the killer and like it's all spooky and
Oh
everything.
yeah, I do love those. Where they
It's
cut
like it's like where like there's like the movie Elf and they have a trailer for it and it's like if Elf was a thriller.
you just
like,
change the music up
yeah,
and
yeah.
you know.
And then like some like lines out of context or whatever and like yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot.
It's just a bass
Well, I'm
drop.
just
that-
we're not gonna do it. But you know what?
he could do it. God damn it! If he
We
wanted
could
to.
do it, but we're not.
We're not
We,
fully
we have
staffed.
mortgages and we have real jobs, and we can't do this all the time.
Right.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, maybe. It would
While,
be-
while
We're
we're,
not
at
prolific
it,
like
we
John
can make
Hughes.
Silence of the Lambs into a buddy cop movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
John Hughes, he said, I like taking dissimilar
Just went from
people,
6 to
putting them
midnight.
together, and finding what's common to us all. Part of the point is there are a privileged few who operate between New York and Los Angeles or London and Paris. But if something screws up and they get off the exclusive track, it's someone like Del Griffith who knows how to get them home. What kept the movie going was the opposites. Two dissimilar guys. If it weren't for a storm, someone like Neil Page would never meet a guy like Del.
No, so
That's
it's,
right.
It's the classic odd
true.
couple story,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah.
And I just figured out why Ben doesn't like this movie, because the last in the modern era, the last great equalizer where you meet people regardless of socioeconomic status or whatever, where is that place?
The military.
It's the
military.
No, it's the gas station.
Oh.
Ben loves the fucking gas station. In the
Oh, before
80s,
y'all came over.
Of
I was
course
like,
you
want
did.
anything from Jerry? Just a couple big
you're
reds?
in there with anybody. So
Big gulps, huh?
So this
Big
movie
gulps,
doesn't seem that weird to Ben because he's in there interacting all the time with gas station people.
Everyone uses the fucking gas station.
I know, but
you
not
make
the
it,
way
you
they-
make it,
the
yeah, you
gas
make it
station.
sound
Not
like
the-
a derogatory remark. Gas
It's-
station people. It's people getting stuff at a gas station.
I know
Gas
that.
station people.
But no one goes in there to the
Directed
level
by
that
John
Ben goes in
Hughes.
there. If I go to most of the time, unless I'm on a road trip, I am not going into a gas station. I'm paying at the pump. I'm putting gas in my car, and I'm out of there because I'm in town.
He does go there multiple times.
Ben goes in the he knows the people there. They
Dude,
pull his product for him.
I wish I had a go-to gas station that I want to hang out in.
That's
Rachel,
insane.
She did. She's like, we got more Oreo Coke for
That's
you.
insane, dude.
I was
So
like, oh,
that's why
thanks, Rachel.
this movie doesn't make sense to me because in real
So
life
I'm
I'm
Dell
Dale
in this
Griffin.
situation?
Yes,
Is what
you
you're
are
saying?
Dale
I think,
Griffin.
or I could, if the clerk station was by my house.
Oh, sure.
I'd be playing roller hockey on the roof.
No Gatorades
Yeah.
this time, guys.
And this is someone talked about this about John Hughes' movies. The core of John's movies was his heart and this exploration of the human condition and this wonderful exploration of people's feelings and really at a base level what it means to love another person. And not necessarily mean just romantic love, but love with a capital L. And for me, that's a lot like what our last film, Shawshank, it was talking about. I mean, that's parallels with that.
Yeah, there's nothing gay about lifelong platonic friends, Scotty.
Nope.
No,
Hetero life mates,
Same
man.
sex.
Do you guys have someone in your life that is, I don't know, work to be friends with? I don't know how else to say that.
Oh, yeah.
But you
Yeah.
love
Sit right
that
next to me.
person.
Those are
Fucking guy. Woo! But you love that person, so you do the work to be in their
Yeah.
life. At some point in this movie, I feel like Neil is like, there's more good about Dell than there is bad. All the things, right, were triggering. All the stuff that he does
But
and
he's
the
got a
noise.
good heart, man.
When he's clearing his fucking sinuses in the
Oh,
bed,
it
dude, I would have. But
Straight up, yeah.
there's way more good about him than there is bad. Do you think they're really like you
He
watching?
he would be a guy I would want to have as a neighbor.
Yeah,
Traveling
Oh.
together, absolutely
Bro,
fucking
that dude
not.
dead
That
ass
would
sat in a fucking convertible in a snowstorm and was just like, I guess this is it today. Like,
this is where I am
God
right
dang,
now.
dude.
I wish
I
my
do-
dead wife was with me so she could enjoy this too. you
One
know?
of my things that I always say about like work and stuff, Ben's heard me say this, that I appreciate about people is don't bitch when we're in free fall. When I'm in free
Yeah.
fall with you, if we're stuck in a convertible together in the snow, now's not the time to bitch. Let's make the best of this. We'll bitch about it later.
I experienced something just like that. Me and my wife went to the Northeast. We flew into
Your
JFK.
wife and I.
Whatever, dude.
Whatever. Jesus Christ. Fucking grammar cop over here. Anyway, we flew into New York and we stayed there for the night and toward Manhattan. And we were going to go and check out Connecticut because we're like, we've never been to fucking Connecticut before. Let's go there. And
Christmas
found
in
a cheap
Connecticut.
Airbnb and went that direction. As soon as we crossed over into Connecticut, we pulled over at this little travel plaza. And the travel plazas in the Northeast and Texas are completely fucking different. You think of Buc-ee's, and we're like, we pull off the highway, and there's like 20 places to park your car and gas pumps and stuff. Well, we pulled in. It was a busy time. I couldn't find a place to park. And so I pulled into a Tesla charging station.
Oh,
And
you done
there
messed up.
was only one there. See, I didn't know this.
You messed
Anyway,
up.
and I went in, and there was only one Tesla charging there, and I was like, I'm gonna be there, and I'm coming right back. I'm just gonna go. I just dropped off my wife. She had to use the bathroom, and then I went inside, came back. Someone keyed the fucking front quarter panel of the rental car that we were in, and sliced the tire. Now we're in.
That's like Connecticut love.
Yeah, it's something. And so we had a cut tire and a keyed quarter panel, and we're in the middle of fucking nowhere in Connecticut, and it was like 4:00 in the afternoon.
mean,
me and my
The middle of nowhere.
me and my
Connecticut's the size of this
wife
coffee table.
put
bro.
our heads
Like,
together. We were cool. Everybody was level-headed. She called the rental card and asked about the insurance, and I went and they're like, well, we can have a guy come out and put the spare tire on for you. I was like, well, I can fucking do that. So
Yeah.
I threw it on, and then we became Costco members. And we called up, and the only place we could get a tire was Costco. So we called and got a Costco membership and went and got a tire, threw it on there. We lost 2 hours of our trip, and we got back on the road. And we
You
were
just had
perfectly
that
fine.
horrendous trip.
But yeah.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, Scotty's trip has us.
Well,
whooped.
but I was gonna say there is a thing when when Ben and I went to a concert one time in Dallas, and on the way back, my car just shit out. And I was thankful to be on the side of the road with Ben because he was just like, this is what it is, dude. I guess we're waiting on the tow truck. He could have been just like a grouchy bastard the
Yeah.
whole time, which would have Yeah. Anyway, my
But
point
if-
is, don't
if-
bitch at me in free fall.
I mean, if I was by myself when that happened,
Sure.
I probably could not have handled fucking anything. But BC's there, so like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
fucking great. But it's like I was getting the tow truck. I was getting the getting into a shop. Getting into our like hotel. I was like getting us the rental and getting us to the dealership to drop off the car rental. Like he was doing the driving to get to Colorado, kind of all this stuff. And like we just, I mean, I was like losing it, and I was like fucking distraught and everything. But like, you know, we got a fucking job to do here, and like we gotta do it. I mean, I will freak
Figure it out.
I will freak the fuck out for a little bit. You gotta give me like 5-10 minutes to like
Sure, yeah.
to like scream out and like flip out. But then like then I'm like,
I think the
okay,
rental,
it's game time. You know,
rental parking
what
lot.
do I need to do?
That's-
Call Walter
very
Coppage.
freaking-
That's what I was so-
call my support system.
Heath in Colorado was trying to park in a Tesla deal not that long ago, and
Oh,
I was
was
like,
he?
"Ooh, buddy!" I was like, "We're already walking a mile and a
I
half."
had
was
nowhere
like,
else to park. I literally had nowhere else to park, and I had to go inside and do the business too.
Shit, dude, that's
and there was nowhere to go. But I was so proud in that moment because me and my wife came together. We were cool,
Yeah, sure.
That's
level
great.
headed.
That's awesome.
Worked together as a
Especially-
team. I
When you're-
guarantee
is
you,
it being
if that would have
married-
happened to Wichita Falls, though,
and have that moment.
she'd have
yeah.
lost her fucking mind.
Yeah.
But we were on the road.
Some-
Yeah,
But
we're in
also-
free fall. What's
Right,
the bigger,
yeah.
The bigger thing here is Connecticut. Does that seem like the appropriate response for that?
Yeah, that is a wild.
that was a
response.
dick.
I thought everybody in Connecticut worked at ESPN. I don't know why these people are such dicks.
I thought they were
I was
just
in
sweet
ESPN
up there.
I was in Connecticut for 4 days and never saw ESPN once.
You were never
That's
in
crazy.
Bristol, Connecticut?
Nope,
Connecticut?
never. Didn't make it over there.
You do feel like
It's going over the border for some French fries and gravy.
you do feel more accomplished when you go through something like that with your partner, and you guys are just like, hey, we saw
It
this
is,
together.
yeah, we got
That was
is
a hell of a teamwork.
yourself.
moment, for sure.
What'd you say?
You left your kid at home.
No, my stupid fucking sister was like, "Oh, this Vegas airport is busy," and everyone.
Oh, you told me about that the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, because we're buying tickets or whatever, and we cut the entire security line. Like, just cut. People are yelling at us or whatever, and I'm like, "Take it over to TSA. Take it over to TSA." They let us go through. We're running down the middle of the airport, and they're like calling our names out on the deal. I gave all the luggage to Sarah and was like, "I will not leave without you, but I have to run to the gate, like, without my shit." So I made it to the gate. I'm like out of breath, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, y'all almost fucking missed it. We're waiting." Anyway, held the whole plane up. Thanks, Jen.
Can I say something real quick?
yeah.
This is big. This is
You
for
can
them.
say something.
This is for them too. But this you and me, James. Like,
This is about Jodie Foster.
It's not
again.
about
We
Jodie
really have
Foster.
to switch
Yeah.
the page.
this is the two Scotties in this situation. I'm Hudson and Aliens, and then I turn into Hicks. It's like it's game time. Like yeah, that's me.
That is me too, a
Yeah.
little bit, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna yell about it in the car and freak out.
Who's her in charge?
Yeah,
Game over, man.
100%.
Game over, man.
And I'm always
Game
shittiest
over.
to like the people that I know. Like that's who you're shitty to, right? The people that love you that you know you can be shitty to for a second, and then
You get abused
right,
and,
you
and
just
they'll
take them for
tolerate
granted
your
and like,
abuse.
hey,
Yeah.
I'll
That's
apologize
really
to you
healthy,
tomorrow.
sir.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It
Like, you're a
sucks.
piece of shit.
It sucks. Yeah.
This is your fault. It's got to be someone's fault. It's definitely
Yeah.
not my fault. And then
I just kick a dog.
gameplay.
Jesus. Oh shit.
He's
He,
joking.
The dogs
yeah,
are like
he's
people
joking.
here.
We're very
No
dog
one's
friendly
joking.
here on Mac and Cheese
Extremely
Movies.
dog friendly.
How's the joke? Sorry, TikTok people. This is water.
This- Please don't flag us again.
I got one more quote before we wrap up.
All right.
I think that every person inside of them has a bit of Del and a bit of Neil, where they're really warm and open, but then also they don't want someone taking their socks off next to them on a plane.
No, fuck that.
I think we all have that inside of us.
Well, yeah.
I know my dad had that, and I'm sure Steve Martin has that. We all have that. But this film really visits these two extremes of a way to approach a really difficult situation.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
I realized watching it this time, one of my favorite things that happens in the movie, and I think for me is the funniest scene in the whole movie, is when after they have the rental car before they burn it down and they're driving, and John Candy's fucking with that seat, right, all over the place.
I can't get comfortable.
Yeah,
Broke it.
I'm
Broke it.
laughing in that because you know who I'm thinking about, right? Like that's all I can think about is just like, okay, he's particular, he just needs things, whatever. I'm trying to be a person. But then there's this thing that happens where Neil's comfortable enough with him now. They're kind of becoming friends. Where he's like, "Well, I can't reach my shoes," and he's like, "That's fine. I don't want to breathe your foot odor." He wouldn't have said that to him 2 days ago.
Yeah,
But
right.
now he
Yeah.
cares about him enough where he's like, "Look, we're friends, dude, and I don't want to breathe your fucking feet in." I love that scene.
Best part about that scene is they had the space age way of moving the car in the passenger seat, but the driver's seat had the 2 manual things
Yeah,
that
that he
fucking
gets
Dell
locked
ends
up
up
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
locking his sleeves on
Hilarious.
later
You're
on.
not supposed to notice shit like
No,
that.
oh no, not at all.
1980.
Continuity error. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go to remix the ingredients.
Remix.
Who are you gonna put in this movie if you could put anybody else in this movie?
I never think about these at all, but I was like on the couch yesterday playing Wukong. It doesn't matter, and I was like, oh, you know, it'd be good. I'm just gonna throw it out there. For me, John Candy can't be replaced in this movie. Like, I can't even, like, maybe y'all have somebody, right?
Yeah.
For me, I don't. But I was like, Steve Martin. I was like, man, who could be like uptight, but also at some place when they do become a little more friendly?
I know who you're gonna say.
Who say?
Jason Bateman.
I'm not. I'm thinking back in the eight. So
That's a good call right there.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Who are you gonna say?
If they do a modern
what do y'all
one.
think about Judge Reinhold?
I love Judge Reinhold.
And,
He could-
like in Fast Times, right? I'm thinking the same guy. Yeah.
He could be the Neil guy. Yeah.
Neil is who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, absolutely.
Replace Neil with Judge, because like he can be funny at when it's time.
I
But
like
he can also
that.
be
He'd
like
be like
kind of
stressed
like
out, like tense.
stressed out, right? Yeah,
tense,
yeah.
My
I like
Neil
that.
I love Judge Reinhold.
was Rick Moranis, because he plays kind of like that guy in Parenthood. Where
Yeah, he
he's
does.
just like
Oh, yeah.
he's like the straight.
He's
the straight
exactly
edge,
that guy in
and
Parenthood.
he could be. He was basically was Neil in Parenthood.
Trying to
for the
teach
most
his
part.
daughter
Like
like
Japanese and
or some shit.
Japanese.
She's like 4.
Yeah,
That movie's
Oh,
so
I do
stupid,
remember-
dude.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I do
love
too.
it.
I've seen that.
Parenthood's wonderful.
Joaquin Phoenix is like 11 in it.
That was mine.
His name was Leaf Phoenix back then.
Yeah, that was Leaf.
Watch
way
it.
better.
Reading porn mags in there. Yeah.
Bill Murray was John Candy. It's like, what about Bob? He's kind of like the same in the way.
Yeah. What about Bob's
I've
great.
got Bill Murray as Neil.
I think he
He
like
could like in Scrooged. I can kind of see
Groundhog
because
Day.
he was kind of like that guy.
and kind of like Groundhog Day. And there's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot.
Like
There's
he
a
can
lot.
be a dick, but then
Yeah.
like be funny.
I also think Harrison Ford for Neil. 'Cause I think Harrison Ford can be like a dick. He's not.
Yeah,
and
and like Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
No.
like, I mean it's still like 80s, but I mean now he's a lot more crotchety and stuff now in the last 20 years. But like he's got that kind of like particular kind of dickishness about him.
Does he got
for
the
role.
comedy chops though?
in
I think so.
in that
Absolutely.
show on Apple Plus, opposite of
Shrinking.
Shrinking, he's the right version
Yeah.
of himself for that. If you've
Yeah.
never seen that, it's
I
pretty-
haven't.
I quit on it because at some point I just felt like I was going to work with those guys every day. But and I am a quitter. But also the first like 4 episodes are really great. So I like all those. I like Bateman. Bateman was going to be my guy. I thought me and Ben
Bateman's
locked up
good.
there.
Bateman
But
is
Bateman was
good.
going to be my guy for Neil. I think part of Candy's part needs to be someone big, because I think it adds to him not really being comfortable.
The
in his own
presence.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and so I think before he passed, obviously, I think Farley would have been a good John Candy
That's how I had
replacement for that.
John Belushi.
And I think Gender Bend it. I think, and I know her and Bateman already did a movie, but I think Melissa McCarthy
oh.
could have been John Candy's part.
That's
That
good.
kinda
That is
was
good.
a-
That is good.
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
almost the
I didn't
same
like
damn
that
premise.
movie.
They don't have to be in
As
the
much,
same decade.
in a way, yeah.
Realistically, if we actually switch them, they could just be anyone we made up. Okay.
Sure,
Yeah,
hell
yeah,
yeah.
they could.
Why
It's like
not?
you haven't been on the show for 5 years.
We're making our own rules here.
I mean,
you
I've
know?
been in and out. I don't.
This is water. Fucking guy.
I also had Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell can do whatever, but
Will Ferrell could have done both.
Or what if it's Danny McBride?
Man, I love me some Danny McBride.
I
man.
do love Danny McBride, but I don't.
Boy, there would be more than the amount of F words that they had in the movie, though.
Walter Goggins could have played Neil Page. I feel like
Absolutely,
He
he would have
would've
been
been-
really good
yeah,
at
yeah.
that.
Man, maybe they should
that's a
remake it with
that's a
Walter
damn good
Goggins
one.
and
Danny
Danny
McBride.
McBride, man.
Will
Damn.
Ferrell. I love him, but he
I'd
gets
pay to see
annoying
that.
to me after. I like him as like a sidekick. I don't want to.
What about
Yeah, I feel
what
the same way.
Jack Black? No,
No, I'm
you
out.
saying no?
It's not that like I actually like.
He
Jack
had
Black.
his heyday. Now I love Jack Black. Don't get me wrong, but
I love
he
Kung
kind
Fu
of
Panda.
burned
He just
everybody
yells
out
too much.
on Jack Black a little
because
bit
it's-
in the early 2000s
Yeah.
with the shallow howls and shit like that. But
Ah, come on, let's go. Like, yeah, man, that's not Dell's not like Dell's a little actually like as a person in like personal hygiene and space and all that. Like, yeah, he's terrible, but like as a person, he's really really good. And I just don't know if Jack Black's like, oh, I got the new car.
Well,
I
does
figured out a
Danny
place to
McBride
stay,
have that?
'cause
I don't know if Danny McBride's got the
I
heart
don't
for
know.
all that.
Danny McBride would be like, I just pulled a gun out on the clerk, and now we have a hotel room.
I
don't
think
know,
I
man.
think the thing you're missing in a lot of those casting is the sad part of John Candy.
I think
Not
you're right. I think there
You,
is
you don't have the
there-
humanity and
Right.
There is something that's like
everyone
transcendent,
seems to
like a
be-
unicorn about John Candy.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody
Yeah, he
we
was.
brought up is kind of like a caricature,
Yeah.
a caricature instead
Yeah.
of like an actual heartfelt actor, which Candy really
Yeah.
brought out in spades. You know,
That's a good point.
yeah. But it was, that's what waxing poetic about this stuff does, though.
Our top 5
Oh shit.
today. Our top 5 travel movies.
top 5. We should
Travel
We
movies.
should have like a theme where we all sing it in
I want to
harmony,
go first today, so
like a
I,
barbershop
Oh.
quartet.
so that I can call half y'all.
I've got a top 9 in case you fuckers
I
take
think-
one on my movies.
I think
too.
Oh, I love it. I love you got a draft board. I love it.
I think I got movies no one picked.
I know for sure I picked one year, or at least you backed off, and I said I stole it
I
already.
put that as honorable mention.
because you stole mine last.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
What do you got?
Cool Hand Luke. I'm just playing.
I was like, bro, he's in a
prison
fucking
the whole
prison,
time.
So no.
All right, listen. Number 5, I had Zombieland.
That's good. That's good.
Nice.
That's good.
I didn't
Yeah, I
even
didn't think about
consider that one.
Outside the box, I like it.
Number 4, I had Almost Famous.
Oh, that's great. Oh, on the bus.
Number
Yeah.
3,
You're home now.
I had Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, I love Little Miss Sunshine.
I love that movie.
Number 2,
Damn.
I had Darjeeling Limited.
Oh, I had that on my list.
And my number 1 that Sarah's gonna hate is Lost in Translation.
Oh, it's on my list too, you asshole. I'm down to 3.
Scotty's like, I have 3.
I win.
Who's next? Joel.
All right, since you're handicapped a little bit, go ahead and do your.
You're
Unless you need.
handicapped a
unle-
little bit?
Whoa!
Well,
You just touched.
Did you?
no, because I'm down to 3 movies now. I only got 3 movies
Just
to talk
say them
about.
all.
Do you
That's
need a
fine.
sec?
Well, I had.
You gotta rank 'em.
I had. Well, I don't really have a rank. I just.
I rank.
So I have Due Date, Robert Downey Jr., Zach Galifianakis, which is like this movie,
It
like a
is,
whole
yeah.
lot. It's like a lot like
Right.
this movie.
Yeah, that's what Sarah said. Didn't they remake this?
And I think Road Trip is awesome. I love Road Trip.
I was like, yeah. I was like, man.
And Before
Did you
Sunrise.
kill a cheetah?
We had watched Road Trip recently, and it did not
That's
hold
good.
up. It didn't
Really?
hold up.
Sunrise,
That's
yeah.
sad.
Well, Euro Trip too.
Is that
but-
the Scotty doesn't
but,
know?
No,
yeah,
the
Euro Trip is,
Scotty
but
doesn't
Road
know.
Trip was Tom
Road
Green.
Trip's like Tom Green's in it,
Oh,
and they're like driving
man.
from Boston to Austin to try to
The best
this
part of
sex
that-
tape. Like,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember that movie.
The best
I
part
love
of
Tom
that is
Green.
whenever they were in the diner and Homeboy sent back the French toast. And they got the French toast and like put it in the back of the cook's pants and like rubbed it around and stuff.
oh,
And-
yes.
And then put
Fun
it back
fact
and
about
the
James,
dude's like,
I've never sent food back in my life
No,
because of shit like that and waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, I ordered a burger and you brought me clam chowder. Delicious. I swear to God.
fantastic. All right, James, you got it.
Yeah, I think I'm about to crush you guys, but we'll see. Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Well, yes. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
No one got this one. Road to Perdition.
Okay.
That's a damn good one.
That's one of my
That's
favorite movies. of all
really,
time.
really
Is that-
good.
is that-
That's
That's
Tom,
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I know Tom Hanks. I thought maybe it was
So
Frank
heavy.
Darabont for a second, but it's Sam,
Oh, the
who
director.
directed American Beauty. Sam.
You-
Shit. Never mind. Fuck it. Go.
I love American Beauty too.
I love American Beauty as well.
You can't love it anymore because of Spacey, and also it's kind of cringe. But I love that movie.
Fine.
Number 3, The Road.
Oh yeah.
Cormac McCarthy. Man.
You're only gonna watch it one
You're
time.
only gonna yeah.
Good luck with your soul
Yeah.
afterwards.
Seen it once.
Don't read it. You'll just cry for days.
I know no one picked this one. Willow.
Holy shit.
Oh. Ben, have you seen Willow?
Willow.
Wow.
I don't even know what that is, man.
Willow was
Adora. This baby. This mother.
Laura Dannon. I named my kid. This I
I
shouldn't
was like
tell people.
spazzing out over.
There's
here.
an evil
I
general.
can't even do the line.
You know
George
what?
Lucas and Spielberg made their version of
It's-
Lord of
it's
the
a-
Rings, basically. And
it's like Ron
Willow.
Howard. It's like George
Yeah, yeah.
Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
a little
that
person.
that impersonation you just did?
Warwick Davis.
You know what that reminds me of? Jodie Foster.
God dang.
And fucking Nell. I'm a
Oh,
tay
and now-
in the wind.
This is what he did. He's Adora. He's like, we gotta find him up for this baby. Like, I mean, it's like, what's that's.
It's so good, dude. Willow's awesome.
Willow
You
is good.
watch. We'll watch it.
And
sometime.
that was my first encounter. I guess I forgot that Val Kilmer was like in Top Gun. But like when I really noticed
Mad
Val Kilmer,
Mardigan, bro.
Mad Mardigan.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man,
It's
yeah.
it's good. It's good. It's like a rock and roll Lord of the Rings. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll watch it. Maybe we can do that for the pods one day. And then if no one picked this, I'm judging. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh shit.
Such a good travel movie.
That was a good one.
That is a good
That
one.
was a good one.
And honorable mention, I had Darjeeling Limited because it's so good, and Captain Fantastic.
Captain Fantastic is great. FYI. Have you seen it?
It's so
Gotta
good.
check it out.
So
Gotcha.
my
I just
my
saw-
top
got around to
9
Mr. Fantastic.
is unscathed
Or
because
Fantastic.
You got
I,
9? Okay.
well, I chose that
Fantastic
because
Four?
I figured
What?
people would go and
No,
choose
I know.
yeah.
some of my selections, and y'all didn't choose any of them. So I'm fantastic. So I get to pick.
We
this
should
one.
have like a cup.
Number
We should have a
one.
cup for like who gets the ones that no one picks, or like the best choices. We
So,
should figure this out.
number 1,
25.
Into the Wild.
Yeah.
I almost picked Into the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
love
have
Into the
never
Wild.
seen
I
that.
never saw it.
actually.
Oh my
It's
god!
great.
Y'all need to
It's
stop
great.
whatever
The
you're doing.
book is great.
book,
Watch
yeah,
Sean
that
Penn's
shit.
directing's great.
Yeah,
Emil
it's
Hirsch
got,
is great.
Emil
Hirsch?
Shit.
Vince
no,
Vaughn?
He was, Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn's in it.
Isn't it just
We
about
just
a guy
can't
that
shake
just
Vince
like
Vaughn for
leaves
some reason.
society?
It's got the chick in Twilight.
'Cause he's
She's in
great,
it.
dude.
Kristen Bell?
Yeah, Kristen
Kristen
Bell's
Bell?
in it for like,
Oh.
but she's not annoying. It's fantastic.
Oh, Kristen Bell.
And
I like Kristen Bell. You guys shut
I
up.
love her.
All
dude.
right,
Yeah,
so I got
shut
Into
up.
the Wild, and
She's awesome
number
in Joan
2,
Jett. Like her movies.
I got Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Last night I was like Dumb and Dumber, and I was like, no, we can do better. It is
That
good.
has to
That is
be
a good
mentioned,
travel
though,
movie.
on a
Not
travel
man.
movie.
Low hanging fruit. I didn't
Uh,
think of that one.
Number 3, The Land Before Time.
Oh, that's good.
Animated
Y'all are
movies.
downers,
Good.
man.
And that
That's
was
good.
it starts off bad, but kind of like Up, you know,
should've
and when
done Pee-wee's
Up
Big
Up like
Adventure.
wrecks your soul in the first whatever. They
I
do the
didn't
same
think
thing,
as
but then
long
they
on
redeem
this. I
themselves
needed
because they
to.
get to the Great Valley and eat tree stars and all that shit. So everything's
Maybe
great.
Joel picked it.
What you got? What is this your,
And then
this your
let's
final
see,
one?
I got Into the Wild, Dumb and Dumber, The Land Before Time, and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Almost
It's
this
pretty
close,
good.
man.
Oh,
This
it's
close,
good.
man.
Ben's like,
And-
look at my notes, dude. I almost did
Harold
it,
and
dude.
Kumar.
You see, I showed the work. I showed you the work, teacher.
And all right, so I got Harold and Kumar, and
That's a
I'm
good
gonna
one,
go
man.
with Rain Man.
Rain Man is
Man's a good
fantastic.
travel movie.
I love Rain Man. I love the casino part, the Vegas part, then them coming down the escalator in the suits, everything.
Scott-
Bam.
Scotty, you love a movie about an autistic guy?
Scotty is the Rain Man.
You are movie Rain Man.
He's not good at cards. He's the worst.
No, there's
I
only
can't-
been one
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving
movies,
movie
go.
in existence, and Scotty's
He's
like,
just like bam, 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 bam.
you know.
Yeah, that's why we love you so much, man. This would not be a thing. It would just be us hanging out on couches. And you're just like, hang on, I brought all the notes, an 80-page notebook.
I
Thank
definitely
God.
didn't print them at school, right?
Definitely, yeah.
For sure. Just so we're clear on that.
WFISD did
They
not,
did not get
not
printed.
pay.
Toner's
At school.
expensive.
Yeah.
What's your doggy bag? What are you taking home from planes, trains, and automobiles?
It's the only movie I watch whenever I want a Thanksgiving movie.
It is
You
the
know?
Thanksgiving.
It is the Thanksgiving movie.
For
straight
everybody.
Up. Yeah. It's got everybody in it. John Candy, rest in peace. It's just, whenever you created the whole mac and cheese thing, comfort movies, this is a fucking comfort movie for
It
me.
is.
Straight up. I mean, it's just, it makes you feel great at the end, and it's wonderful. And it's something I remember, as a little kid watching it on a bootleg VHS tape. That's exactly what this podcast encompasses, is a movie like this.
My doggy, I'm the exact opposite of everything Joel just said.
Because he watched it last Thursday.
It's stressful. It is pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know, man. The movie's all right. I do like that we are showing someone who's really particular, Neil, with someone who's not, and there is like some empathy there, and there is a little bit of overlap of like, we all are people and we're a society.
Yeah.
At the gas
We
station.
live
there.
in the
We're at the gas
society.
station.
And I think that is important to note that there's a human aspect of the movie.
Yes.
Going into it, that's part of the thing. I was like, oh, it's a comedy. That's what it is, right? Not even thinking about any other John Hughes movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think the end was so weird for us, me and Sarah or whatever. Not that it's bad. I know I was joking.
It is a
right?
little bit like
but like
generational,
the whole
I
time
think,
you're like,
too.
oh, comedy, and then you get these little drop-ins of like humanity, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't like that. I want comedy, but I do like it.
Right.
yeah.
So mixed bag for me.
I think for me, the thing with this movie is that I as I'm getting older, I'm definitely way more Neil Page. I don't think I would have been so much when I was younger. My comfort place is to kind of isolate. I get stressed out in the same kinds of ways that he does, whatever. but my takeaway from this movie is like you need people in your life that make you work on yourself. Like I always thought, even when I was a kid, that I kind of wanted to know.
Is something beeping?
It's a dishwasher.
Sorry, my bad.
No, you're fine.
Take two.
When I was a kid, I always thought about at the end of that movie, which Ben thought was very weird, but I always thought about like the dinner afterward, and like I always wanted to see like a follow-up movie of like The Burbs where Neil and Del get together a couple times because like now they're friends after this. To me, they're friends after this, and so every time I watch this movie, it's kind of a reminder of like the stuff that Neil didn't want to put up with would have kept him from being friends with John Candy. Well, Del or whatever. But because he was willing to put up with that shit, there was these great friendship things in Del that I think he had probably for the rest of his life. I think that stuff's important.
Probably because he's a better neighbor instead of a travel companion.
Probably so.
Yep.
Yeah, right. And I think that's one of the things that you do that I've struggled with. We're talking about I get wrapped up in 30-minute conversation, shit like that. As I'm getting older and like advocating for myself a little more and trying to say like, I know this situation is going to stress me out. I know doing this with you, friend, is going to stress me out. So I'm not going to do that with you. We do this thing together, and it makes me happy.
You're in your compartment,
exactly,
and I'll take you out whenever you're at. Yeah.
So maybe Del and Neil do like a specific thing together a couple times a year. Right. Maybe they get a hotel room, dump beer on the bed, spend the night together in the bed. Whatever.
Dump beer on the bed. You're going to do that again?
I don't know. I'm just kidding. But I'm saying
for old time's sake, Scotty.
Maybe
come on.
Del and him are on like a bowling league together or whatever. But he knows about Del.
Let's go marinate our socks in the sink, you know.
Anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like at some point in every podcast, Scotty looks at me and he's like, I don't really get what the fuck you're talking about, but it's cool. There's a point in there somewhere. You do it every podcast.
Well, you did say that you ramble on for 30 minutes
do.
sometimes.
It's fine.
And yes.
I have to pee, so let's...
My face is showing the stress of that our long running time here.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to go.
You're good.
Absolutely.
Don't let me stress you out, man.
The Doggy Bag. An incredible piece of cinema that is about themes we rarely see on film. Yes, it's the road movie, The Odd Couple, but the way we can identify with both characters. I'm Neil, I'm Del. The way this movie is about resulting friendship and understanding and trying to be a better person. So that's what I got.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yep.
That's basically what I was trying to say.
Very, very poignant.
Yeah, that
sir.
was my point too. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being on the show. If you like today's show, like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube. We have videos. Follow us on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your homegrown
TikTok,
podcasts. TikTok. We got over 1,000 followers now. Stay tuned for next month's episode for Christmases. And I can't say this about everyone, but everyone on this show is the real article. What you see is what you get. Love you guys. Mac and Cheese out.
I love you too.